umbua mena medano sensioni kwa na masensi ni fufro.
But see ansioni nyanko ye no edien na ebetumi aboa o dada sitinem.
Eni on kire oma me baby ameda eni me mamu se na me nko ahonkyerem na esika me di be ye aduane amankwara no mu na me di be kodwa so na me di aton ade so na me di aboa ankwara no mu so
nso asana on be ko school ti say ye di omu search shi akiri asana ye di omu atwe nsuo no na ye di je man na fa omu asana omu ko school ye pese so on be ma ye dabre ye beda and mattress and the best cylinder na we ahasu yenya cylinder ye betumi ade ato ha anu aduane.
The chronicles of the AKOSOMBO and Bomb Dam spillage still continues. Today you have the leadership of the Minority Caucus in Parliament and the National Democratic Congress leadership visiting affected areas in the Volta region. There was a mini deba in Sogakope where items or relief items were given to affected persons, plus some cash that is to help cushion them during this period.
We are not here to take over the responsibilities of the government of the Republic of Ghana. We are here this morning to commiserate with the people of the Volta and Eastern regions for the calamitous flood that has affected some constituencies in this region.
The leadership of the National Democratic Congress questioned works that has to do with engineering around the Volta River Authority's works and the other areas connecting to the AKOSOMBO Dam.
I am not a scientist. I am not an engineer, but I have very serious questions to ask because the dam was not constructed yesterday, and flooding, when water is flowing into the lake, even if it is from Burkina Faso, it doesn't flow to Volta region within 24 hours.
We urge the Energy Committee from our side to start the processes of instituting a probe into this matter immediately. Aside this, we also believe that the VRA, the Volta River Authority, has not been proactive. After causing this man-made disaster, their donation is coming in trickles.
So these persons are still wallowing in their plight, or
villages have been wiped because of this spillage. If you go to Siko, which is just behind us, and I hope you have some time so we can go and show you, the entire Siko village is wiped off. All the houses there have been destroyed. We have had to relocate them. We will be going to Mapa. Mapa is the worst affected. And when you arrive in Mapa, my dear brothers and uncles, you will really feel sad for my people. An entire town is under water, submerged. Hospitals are submerged, schools are submerged. So since this disaster, about 2 weeks now, there is disruption in academic work. There is no schooling going on. There is no health facility you can go to apart from the Bato Hospital. All the Chiefs compound have been submerged. The electricity company of Ghana has had to cut electricity to the towns that have been affected because their substations have been submerged. And then we also have Ghana Water Company cutting water because their water pump stations have all been submerged. So it's a humanitarian crisis. We started with about 4 camps. We have now hit 20. We have 20 camps. So we are in dire need of these items. According to NADMO, they say that 10,000 people have been displaced in North Town alone. We are the worst hit. 10,000 people have been displaced. And you'll find some of them at the camps. Some are putting up with relatives and friends in the homes that have not been affected yet.
My visit here today is a very simple one. It is to come and sympathize and commiserate with you about the tragedy that has occurred. When it happened, I was in America on official business. When the chief of staff called me in America about what had happened, and we discussed what had to be done. So that's when we agreed to establish an interministerial committee to coordinate government response to this tragedy. And the coordination is about immediate, about tomorrow, and about tomorrow. The most important thing was, first of all, to ensure the life of people. And that is why 9 centers were established here in Mepe for all the displaced people. And the people, all the people in these 9 centers have been provided relief items by NADNO. And it's NADNO's intention to continue the exercise of providing relief items. So apart from what NADNO is doing, we have also to think about the future. I'm aware that you are farming people. The people who are farming on the banks of the rivers, river banks that have overflown and destroyed many of the farms. So one of the things that the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Finance, and the Office of the President is going to be working with the District Assembly is to decide exactly the nature of the support we have to give to you when the water has gone away to enable you to do the farming. This is why I'm saying that the committee is working in several phases. One, immediate relief, and then tomorrow. But I want you to know that the government is going to do everything in its powers to assist, to make sure that things are all right. I think everybody here, and I hope you take the message all across, North Tongu, South Tongu, Central Tongu, that when these things happen and government acts, politics does not come into the matter at all. When I took the oath of office as president, I took the oath of office as president of every single individual in Ghana, of all peoples in Ghana, all districts. And whether they voted for me or not, once I have taken the oath, I am the president of all the people. So, Toby, you and your elders, I want the people here.
All right, so that leads us to our second topic where for the past week, it's been a very difficult one and a very devastating one for several communities along the banks of the Volta River. It's farmlands and houses and property running into several hundreds of thousands of Ghana cities have been destroyed by that raging catastrophic floods. But the floods have been occasioned by the spillage of excess water, causing about 7 districts and about 9 constituencies or so. We're talking about Greater Accra region, Eastern region, Volta regions, and my own region, that's the Savannah region. They've been affected, in some cases submerged. So we're talking about South Tong, Central Tong, North Tong, Shao Sudoku, Anglong, Adan East, the Sujaman districts, Buipe area, have been some of the hardest hit districts. Now, as I said, this deluge we're talking about has led to the disruption of essential services, that's left some areas without access to water and electricity. There have been some relief efforts. NADMO has been there, some government has been there, private citizens, organizations, some NGOs. But the fundamental question a lot of people are asking is whether we could have managed this much better in order that we do not recall the kind of, atrocities that we've recorded or the kind of impact that we've seen. And also, is this a policy failure or we should just leave this or treat it as a case of a force majeure, which is an act of God? So that's the question we'll be seeking to answer. And also, we'll look at our way with the way we manage disasters in this country as and when they come up. Okay, so that's the conversation for this morning. But Star Assurance has got some big news for you. Now, Star Assurance and Total Energies Ghana are bringing you unparalleled convenience now at over 267 total filling stations nationwide. You can renew or buy a Star Motor third party extra, or Star Motor comprehensive insurance policy and get free fuel. And I'm talking instantly. But that's not all. You can also lodge your Star Assurance motor insurance claims as these, at these stations I'm talking about are available 24/7. Weekends, holidays. Anyway, for more information, you can call our toll-free number at 08001777177, all networks. Or you can just visit our website, Star Assurance, your solid partner. So we start with our conversation about the dam spillage, Bong and AKOSOMBO, and what's been happening so far. Now, let me say that my resource persons for this morning to look into or to share the perspectives on the matter, and in some cases to speak on behalf of the government, like my very good friend and brother, Pargrib Dankwa, who's here with us. He is a government spokesperson on governance and security. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
It's good to be here.
Inside Pages. How is Sebuakwa North doing?
Sebuakwa North is doing well, Moro. A very good morning to you and a very good morning to your viewers, and it's good to be back on the set.
Right, and also let me use this occasion once again to extend our deepest commiserations on the passing of your mother.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
My condolences.
Thank you.
I'm also expecting Michael Niabe. He is the governor. In fact, Michael Niabe is here. He's a governance person with the Friedrich Ebert Stiftung. He's also here with us. He's got some very interesting views to share on what's happening in the lower basins of the Volta River. And then also, I'll be joined by the Honorable former Member of Parliament for North Dai, George Lowe. He's also the Deputy Director of Legal Affairs of the NDC. Will also be joining us in a few minutes. So I'll start with Pargrif Washidankwa whilst Michael takes his seat. Pargrif, once again, thank you very much for joining us. And so I'm sure you've been listening to all the conversations about the fact that the VRA could have done better in managing how it went about spilling this excess water, and we've heard the minority swearing, in fact not swearing, but we've heard the minority promising that they'll take this matter up and that whoever is responsible would have to be made to face the full rigors of the law. We've heard the national chairman of the NDC who sort of was suggesting that, look, there's more to this matter than just that meet the eye, and so on and so forth. Now, when you aggregate and you take all the reactions that have greeted this development so far, what will be your initial comment?
Moro, let me bring greetings to you. A very good morning to you and to your viewers and to my colleagues on the panel, and to say thank you to everyone, especially the Ghanaian people, my friends, my family, who came to commiserate with me at the passage of my mom. I pray that God replenishes all your efforts with the love of emotions that you have rendered unto me. Very, very grateful. Moro, this morning we are discussing an issue of national concern, which has displaced people within Pato, Sogakope, Mafi, Adidome, and Ada, and to send my comforting words to them, an assurance of government to ensure that all these displaced persons are reconstituted back into habitable conditions.
Resettled.
The President, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, visited the community and expressed his deepest concern and government's efforts by setting up a committee to be able to look into the matter and also advise government on some policy directions that would be taken. I'm aware that VRA had to strategically spill over water to prevent the AKOSOMBO Dam from toppling over, because the AKOSOMBO Dam had excess water, obviously through the rainfall pattern and the constant conversations around climate change and climate-induced actions and the impact of that. And so VRA had to strategically plan to spill the water in bits and pieces. the government of Ghana, through VRA, has donated about 10 million Ghana cedis to provide relief items. The Ministry of Roads as well is seeking to create a fund of about 5 million Ghana cedis to fix the affected roads. The World Bank, through their funded food system resilience program, is giving the government of Ghana, also through the efforts of the Ministry of Agric, Food and Agric, the Honorable Brian Champon's ministry, about 40 million US dollars. Right. And it's important to state that the MIPE environment is a community of farmers. And so this is supposed to go primarily to farmers to aid in their work, and it's going to be disbursed very well. The Ghana Armed Forces, through the Navy, has also rescued close to about 8,000 of the affected victims. And NADMO, which is an agency of government, has created close to about 20 evacuation sites, of which they have evacuated close to about 12,000 people, and the remaining 14,000 people are residents with friends and family within the environment, and relief items are continually going on a daily basis to these persons. Water, food, mattresses. There's a tanker that has been provided by VRA, because the MIPE environment would usually get their water from Dawa, which is a bit far away. So there's a treated water that has been provided by VRA and is constantly being given to them. And so we are assured and aware that as the days unfold, in the coming, as we are entering into our third week of the flooding situation, VRA is assuring the Ghanaian people that the end is in sight in terms of the spillage. And we are very certain that as we put away and put together all the modus operandi that is relevant for the people living within the community, we wouldn't see anything of this nature again in the foreseeable future.
I see. Let me also say that we have been thankfully joined by the Honorable George Lowe, who is the Deputy Director, Legal Affairs of the NDC. But it's also important for us to tell you that he is a former MP for the North Dai constituency, so you know where he's coming from, so he knows exactly what he's talking about. Honorable, thank you very much for joining us. Good morning. It's a pleasure having you here, sir. Oh, sorry, your microphone was off. If you turn it on, yes. Okay. And also, Michael Niabe is also with us. Hey, Michael, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you,
It's a pleasure seeing you.
Pleasure seeing you too.
Right. Michael was very incensed and very upset when this matter, when it happened. He gave me a call and said, "Look, bro, are you seeing what's happening?" I said, "Well, I'm seeing it too." He says, "Look, we need to talk about it." Well, I said, "Well, the production team is already planned to talk about it, so we'll be more than happy to have you join us." He's a very busy man, but he's taking time off his busy schedule to join us. That's how passionately he feels about the matter. But let me go back. Let me go to Honorable George Lowe now. Honorable, where you sit, can you help us paint a picture of, first of all, I don't know whether you've been to the grounds to see things for yourself. Help those of us who have not been there yet to tell, of course, based apart from what we've seen on TV, pictures, social media, how bad is the situation?
Well, Moro, good morning to you, and good morning to our cherished viewers, and of course, good morning to my co-panelists here. Pictures tell a lot of stories. Sometimes they tell a story better than what people say. But Moro, I mean, imagine that now people within the Mepe enclave, for instance, they will sit in a canoe and the water is as high as their roof.
Wow.
Yes, that is how bad it is. And it is even made worse by the fact that, these things happen within the twinkle of an eye. So you are seated in your house, you heard that water is coming. And before you say jack and look around, the water is with you. And the only thing I always say is that, you see, the people in that enclave, the town people, predominantly are water-loving people. So
they love water.
They love water. So they have a lot of dexterity when it comes to, swimming. If you tried a 6-year-old child, go compete with him there, you will drown.
Oh, I see.
Yes, I mean, that is their life. So I'm sure that is why the human casualty
was not that high.
Was not that high because they had the capacity to navigate some of these situations. But it's a very, very terrible situation. And you will not wish it on even your enemy. I mean, for instance, let me use our constituency chairman in Northton. Well, he's been based in America for a long time.
Okay.
So we always laugh at him when we visit him in his house that even his furniture is American. And suddenly, everything is gone.
Wow, it's been wiped
Yes. I mean, so you can imagine. I mean, suddenly it's like you don't have a life.
I'm told the women's organizer as well.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm just using him, but all I'm saying is that not even about political, a whole community gets wiped out, and it is serious. You have to experience it to know. In my constituency, I have 7 different Volta River points, 7 different towns where the Volta River has had to resettle people.
Right.
And we've constantly visited those things. I mean, when I was a member of the VRA Trust Fund for 4 years, the board for 4 years. And if you understand even where the resettlement communities are, these things constantly reach them. If you notice, you will see that somebody like Honorable Roxin Dapamekpo, he's always incensed, he sounds helpless. Because the whole community in his area is gone. And I can assure you that it is not only in Ada, it is not only in Mepe, it's not only in North Town. As far as Yeji, all those sites, they have, I mean, this thing, it's
far-reaching.
It's far-reaching.
Yeah.
But you see, Moro, I thank God that we didn't have it more than it is now.
I see.
Because if the calamity that was anticipated had happened, I mean, you and I, we possibly would not be in this studio. If you speak to the experts properly, if the dam had given way, I wonder where we would be. We possibly would not be having this conversation.
Because it would have come down all the way to Adenta, Medina,
you can never tell the extent
of damage.
Yes, the extent of damage that will come. And this is water. It takes its own level.
But tell me something, Honorable George Lowe. You have served on the board of the VRA before. What should have been the protocol? Because you talked about the fact that the people were just sitting there somewhere, and then the water started gushing out and splashing on them. What should have been the protocol?
You see, the protocol should have been that on daily basis, VRA should have prepared for the worst case scenario.
What preparations means what?
Yes, so anticipate what can happen and then prepare towards it. Look, Moro, one of the things I always say, or I keep saying since the beginning of this, is that even at this scale, and what is happening, Moro, look at the response. So imagine that the worst case scenario had unfolded. Do we look like a people who were prepared for anything?
But this is even regulated.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So I'm saying that if for 3 weeks, it's a national security disaster. It's a human security disaster. Don't look at it that just like, no. National security have not been able to mobilize and deal with this thing better than they've dealt with it now. Then we have a problem.
Yeah, but NADMO should have been doing that. But NADMO is broke.
But NADMO, well, you see, when I mention national security, I mention it for a fact because NADMO is part of the National Security Council.
I agree with you, but I'm saying that they play a key role.
Yes, I'm saying that. So when the reason why they put them in national security is because of human security issues. True. So for now, for NADMO to be telling us, or for it to be said, that even tents
they don't have.
Well,
that's inaccurate. NADMO.
Well, that's what we had them say that.
We had them say that. That
VRA had to support them.
Yes, you see, and we are saying that. That's what I'm saying. Prepare for worst case scenario. If the numbers were 50,000, if the numbers were 100,000, would NADMO, as it is now, be able to respond and contain it? I mean, let's face reality. We should be in a situation where, within a twinkle of an eye, a national security response is triggered. And within a day or two, we can say that 100,000 people have been taken out of the place, they have been housed here, even as the water gushes on. Okay. But in this case, there were days people stayed without food for 2 days.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
Coupled with all the challenges that came with it, because they simply could not be reached.
Wow.
You understand? I mean, it's a very, very, very serious calamity.
Very dire.
Very, very dire. I mean, we must just thank God that it is what it is today, because it could have been much, 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 much worse.
Interesting.
And I also want to say,
and
thank Ghanaians, that again we've shown as a people, that when our own are in trouble, we show concern. I'm fascinated. I belong to different school, old school platforms, year group, and I'm fascinated by just people trying to rally, support, in their own small way, to come to the aid of the victims of this unfortunate situation.
Okay.
And I think that is commendable. But government should realize that they have the bigger responsibility. So far as I am concerned now, I don't think government has risen up to the occasion.
Okay.
There's a lot more that needs to be done, and government must show leadership and come out with it.
Let me come to Michael Niabe. Michael Niabe, you play in the policy space because of where you work with the Frederick Ebex Foundation and as a governance person. From where you sit, and I'm sure from the readings you've done, from what you've heard, and also you've seen, is this a policy failure problem? Or you think that there was nothing we could do about it? This is what we could do under the circumstances, because he talked about the fact that VRA could have done better, which is that we decided to spill the excess water the way we decided to do it, not because there wasn't any other way we could have done it. And that, for instance, you heard him say it could have been done gradually, but then VRA decided to do it the way they did. Of course, we've heard the response that the VRA itself has given, because they disagree and say, look, there was just nothing we could do because we're getting more water into the reservoir, and if we don't spill it, the integrity of the dam could have been affected. Where do you sit on this? I mean, what's your general thoughts about what you've seen, how government has handled or dealt with this matter?
Well, more, I think to me it's an indication of we run in a lazy state, a state that is not efficient and smart. Indeed, of course, we are seeing the development after, even as we speak, we are not even sure whether the spillage is under control.
Okay.
Or they are still spilling.
Yeah.
Or
they're still spilling.
In fact, you listen to them and you're unable to really determine what is still happening as we speak.
Okay. It's not clear.
Yeah. Now, there are professionals, experts, engineers within the VRA.
Right.
And even other professional bodies you could always tap expertise from, knowing very well that, listen, this is the state of our dam. Of course, we are going to spill. It would happen. Build worst case scenarios. An efficient, smart state. And was it yesterday? I heard on the news item that, is it the
Sky Group has contributed 1 million Ghana cedis, plus they're putting up some, how do you call it? Is artificial tents?
Yeah, structures.
Something like that. Accommodation, yeah.
What this means to me is it is possible to have relocated the people before even this starts.
But would the people have moved?
You see, so...
Because the understanding was that they were not, those who were aware were not prepared to move.
You see...
I don't know whether that's true.
And there is some form of negligence here, if I am to respond to this specific question.
Right.
Because the VRA is the only agency that knows the volume of water to be spilling and its effect on the communities. The VRA knows that.
Right.
The engineers over there know that, listen, this is the volume you're having now, we have to spill this amount.
Right.
And per our projections, this obviously should be the consequence.
Right.
You can't tell me you're not aware.
Right.
And so now, how do you plan towards this? And so, yes, the communities are very much, they've lived that. You've done spillage in the past, and they've been able to accommodate it. But this, the volume, completely different. And how you even, went about the spillage. And so it means it wouldn't be communication as usual to the inhabitants or the community or the settlers.
Right.
Because this is a different engagement exercise altogether.
Right.
With its consequences terrible. And so how do you communicate to the communities such that they wouldn't think, oh, it's one of those things they've been doing, we can accommodate this. We can, adapt and still go about our livelihoods. So clearly, VRA has questions to answer. Because I don't think the chief in any of the communities affected, I don't think the women, the children, the men, everybody affected largely would have known the anticipated consequences.
Right.
Except for the VRA and their engineers. And if this were to be any serious country, heads to be rolling now. I was at Mepe yesterday.
Oh, you went to Mepe yourself?
I was at Aqua Safari over there, so I have to go there.
Okay.
And witness for myself and my brother.
It's sad.
It's sad. It's sad. Like you said, you wouldn't wish this on your enemy, not at all. And there are other, for instance, waterborne diseases coming in now.
Yeah, right.
The physicians, the health officials over there are detecting and reporting some cases now, cholera, diarrhea, and you ask yourself, to what extent?
And even skin diseases.
Yeah, so where are we headed? And it appears we never anticipated the latent effect as they are beginning to roll out now. You see, we can always, pretend to defend government whatsoever. But I think where we think there is clear act of negligence, we must state it.
Right. You think this is purely an act of negligence?
I think so.
And somebody must be held responsible for this.
Of course.
Because that's been the minority stance on this matter.
But you see, we've run a government, a governance that either hasn't shown any care. Listen to the president when he visited the communities. And you see, to even talk about, so I kept thinking, okay, so what would the president have said before even moving to the ground to visit the communities affected? In his private circles, I'm sure he may have said worse things than even going there to tell them, yes, because you guys didn't vote for me and I'm here because you are Ghanaians. You need not say that. Indeed, that alone is indicative of your thought processes.
No, he said it in jest. He wasn't really serious about it.
We are talking about a serious,
Moro,
humanitarian crisis.
Moro.
Yes.
I know, but I just want to keep that.
And you are telling me you said this in jest?
Yeah.
Listen, there is what we call psychology.
Because if it didn't matter to him, he won't be there.
There is what we call psychology of posture.
Okay.
You get it?
Right.
And it includes even your utterances. And with such a huge challenge, Ghanaians suffering, and you go there and talk about votes, the fact that, and
if it were about votes and the voting pattern of the area, they wouldn't have been there.
How is that even factually correct? I'm sure he may have gotten 1, 2, 3 votes over there.
Oh, he's talking about voting party. He's not saying everybody there does not vote. There's not one person who doesn't vote for the MPP.
No, but
it's largely an NDC.
And this should, for me, it didn't even come as a surprise.
Okay.
If you've observed the president and his utterances, his demeanor, and how he basically responds to things, civil society organizations would be speaking and will be registering their displeasure on the governance of Akufo-Addo, and then he will say, these are opposition voices. No, so he has a way of looking at things. So I wasn't all that surprised, but I was like, so don't you even also have some empathy? And forgetting that you are even the first gentleman of the land. To empathize with them, nobody will be thinking about votes at that particular moment.
So you have a problem with the timing.
The first gentleman of the land
went
there.
No, hold on. Is it the timing or where he said
it? Was not
the
necessary.
Commentary itself was unnecessary.
It was not necessary. But again, not only that it wasn't necessary or isn't necessary, it tells us who he is.
How do you mean it tells us who he is?
I've given an example already, and how he would characterize civil society organizations when they go about doing their, ordinary course of business, which is to hold government accountable. And then you tag all of them as opposition voices. And there have been several instances we can point to, actually, my brother. And to me, I think that the president could have done better.
All right. Mr. Pagribache Dankwa, so there are two questions for you. One has to do with, Mr. George Low, Honorable George Low has said quite a bit about the fact that he will not accept that the VRA couldn't have done better in order to forestall the calamitous nature of the impacts we have seen. And that he then goes ahead to say this should have been a national security issue, not just a VRA issue. And that if the national security had taken things more seriously, perhaps the impact would have been more mitigating. I don't know what your response to that is. That's number one. And then number two, Michael brings in the issue about the posture of the president, and he says it's unacceptable that you don't say things like that when the people are suffering and they want hope. They want some kind of an intervention.
Not in jest.
That's not when to talk about.
It's not acceptable.
So those are two questions in one for you, Mr. Pagribache.
Okay, Boro. I think that, the number of issues that happens within the national security apparatus and fraternity that has not come into the public domain. Very well and clearly, we've been having various conversations around the overflow of the AKOSOMBO Dam and the possible hazards that it poses to residents around the environment. There's been a lot of strategies that had been put in place to forestall and ensure that the level of devastation as should have been has been reduced, very clearly. So to state that the national security has not been involved, it's to be in denial of the constant works of the national security as a ministry and even as an agency of government. Yes, very, very, very clearly, VRA knows that each time we have excess water, to prevent the dam from topping up, of which the devastation of that will be extremely, extremely, extremely dangerous for the Ghanaian community. It could spread as far as wiping 2/3 of the regions away, which is why VRA is spilling in trenches and in briefs.
Okay.
And so in this environment, it's important that we don't necessarily try to score political points out of it. It's a very difficult situation that our brothers and our colleagues are going through. They have lost properties. They are being displaced. They are processing what their next line of action is as it relates to their life. Government is working very strongly to ensure that all displaced persons are placed very well. Schools that have come to a halt, government is working to ensure that young people and young children are reinstituted back into educational facilities during this period. Okay. I think that for President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and everyone who is a politician would know that when you have an opportunity, even as a politician, and I'm sure that my dear friend would agree to it, that you would want to put in a line or two, because we are in a stage and a season of preparing very well for a major election, which is the 2024 general election. And we're also at a stage where in less than 2 to 3 weeks, the new Patriotic Party is going to elect their flag bearer. And so for President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to first establish his concern for the issue that has happened with the people of Mipe, Sogakope, Bato, North Tong, and to state government's position and government support for the displaced person. And the president to be able to emphasize and state that the notion that the people of the Volta region have had over the years that the New Patriotic Party is a party of certain tribes of people. He, as president of the Republic of Ghana, when he was voted into office and when he took an oath of office, he took an oath of office for the good people of this country, which includes the people of the Volta region. It was important for the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to remind them that he's president for all and not president for one entity. It was important for President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to also remind them that he's a president that cares about their plight, regardless of their political position and disposition. Okay. He's there to ensure that their issues are addressed, and the issues are addressed very well. I think that an overly emphasis and an overly focus on the president's talk on the fact that you didn't vote for me today and that one day you vote for me tomorrow. I think that my dear brother, I don't know whether he stood for the primaries recently, NDC. Yeah. Did you win the primaries? No, I didn't. Good. And so better luck next time. But when he goes into his constituency and there is any disaster or even an outdooring or a wedding or a funeral, he will seek to state that you didn't vote for me now, but I know one day you vote for me. I mean, if he doesn't even make that statement, telling me what to no, I mean, even if he doesn't make that statement, his followers will say that, look at Mike, you didn't vote for him, but he's always in the constituency because he believes that one day you would vote for him. I think that let's not belittle the issue. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo raised his issues very strongly. Okay. He was there primarily for the concern of the people. I mean, clearly he gave the narrative.
But let's even assume, without admitting, that what the president said was right. It's valid. There's nothing wrong with it. But is that the time to be saying those things?
You know, Moro, you see, who justifies what time it is and what time it isn't? I think that, you see...
The reality justifies that,
exactly.
actually.
And the reality beholds on the leader who is on the ground. On the ground at the time when President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was speaking. I wasn't on the ground. Okay. I'm not sure that Michael was on ground. I'm not sure the Honorable former Member of Parliament was on the ground. But on the ground, there are morals that comes along. And so if the President is picking up signals of the fact that these people are beginning to want to change their voting patterns, and he puts in that assurance that yes, I mean, remember to vote for the New Patriotic Party.
You're doing all manner of importations now.
Well, no, I mean, yes, of course, because you see, that's what you're also doing as well. That the president puts in that in the next election, in the primaries that is coming up, the MPP delegates that are gathered there in the 2024 general election, which President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is not going to be on the ballot, is reminding the people of Mipe and North Tone that, yes, remember the New Patriotic Party in the midst of all of these disasters, because the government of the day, which is the government of the good people of Ghana, are coming to your aid.
Would that amount to politicizing the issue? Because you mentioned in your earlier submission that when events of this nature occur, we need not to politicize it. You mentioned that.
The president also stated that. The president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, stated that he's not here for politics.
Of course, but he was talking about votes. No, he was talking about elections.
The president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, stated that.
Votes is politics.
I mean, he was talking about votes. Maybe that is religion, that's not politics.
It's either he's not talking about politics or not.
No, Moro, vote is reminding the good people of Mipe and the good people of Bato that it's important that you vote for a leader who cares about you, who thinks about you.
I think that was unacceptable.
Who comes to your aid when a national and a disaster of this nature occurs. And I think that we should credit President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo for swiftly, immediately after his return from other duties that is mandated for him to do, swiftly went into the community to commiserate with them.
But when he was absent, when he wasn't in the country, we had an acting president. Why?
There's always, yes, the law.
And what happened? He didn't even move to
the vice president, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia visited the people of Mipe this week on Monday, gave a personal donation
after
of 160,000 Ghana cedis. Yes, because you see, you are just opposing, right? And inferring that in the absence of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo out of the country, the Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, was not attending to other national issues. I mean, clearly, the Vice President was attending to other national issues, which is why they are state agencies.
For which reason he didn't
No. You can't state that. You can't state that. The reasons are that there are other national issues that needs the attention of the executive, national issues, which is why there are state agencies. Once state agencies come in to immediately avert the issues, then it gives the executive time to prepare adequately to step in. I think that there's no wrong in the timing of the vice president's visit. You have not commended the vice president for going to the people of Mipe. You have not commended the vice president for giving a personal donation of 160,000 Ghana cedis. You have not commended the vice president for giving a personal donation as well in terms of relief items. It's important that once these efforts are done from the executive and even persons of government, we commend them as much as we also commend the Ghanaian people for their love and benevolence.
I just want to ask before you come in. So Kojo Tumbuafo has been watching us from America, and he sends a message, and he says, just tell Pargriff that a comment was unacceptable to make. If tables had turned and President Mahama had made it, all hell would have broken loose. Do you recall when Nana Konadu Rawlings made similar comments in Bonre prior to the 2000 elections, which some people felt were ethnocentric in nature, and the reactions that greeted it thereof? So that's where he's coming from. And his second question to you, Pargriff, says, if the spillage was going to affect JB, would it have been done in this manner? In this manner? What a time to joke. When people have lost everything, when you don't vote for someone or a political party, are you absolved of paying taxes? So that's from Kojo Chum Boafo. And let me see. Okay, so I'll read the other messages later, but I think you want to come in quickly before Honorable Judge.
I just need clarity.
Because it's his turn, actually.
Paul Graves is the spokesperson for government. So he mentioned the fact that 10 million Ghana cedis for relief items.
Yes.
He mentioned 5 million Ghana cedis for roads and other, I'm sure, infrastructure.
It's a fund.
40 million USD from the World Bank facility through the Agric Ministry. Is that the case? Right?
Yes.
So where is the cash? What is happening? Because, it's like the finance minister...
The cash is being raised. The cash is being raised. Yes.
So these are pledges or what? I want to understand. Because as we speak, the humanitarian crisis in the affected communities escalating. And so this is no time to come and be making pledges.
These are not pledges.
So we have...
These are not pledges. I mean, we are dealing with the World Bank. It's not a pledge. World Bank is giving 40 million.
When is the money coming?
No, take your time. I mean, take your time. World Bank.
Our brothers and sisters are suffering.
Absolutely. You are dealing with World Bank.
Are you suggesting there's no sense of urgency?
World Bank. I don't know. There is definitely.
I'm asking if there's no sense of urgency.
Government feels a sense of urgency. Mm-hmm. We feel a sense of urgency, which is why in our conversations with the World Bank is giving $40 million.
When? Any deadline for? In terms of disbursement?
So you want to know how soon?
Yes,
the money is going to hit the account.
Unless we are not serious,
but that's out of their control. Somebody says, I want to give you $40 million.
The World Bank is giving 40 million. Yes. World Bank is giving $40 million
yes.
to support. And that's from the funded food
but
system
there's
relief
an agreement
program.
to that effect,
yes,
right?
There is
an agreement should, of course, contain disbursement plans, deadlines, and all that.
I mean, I'm not privy to that, but what I'm aware is that the World Bank is giving $40 million to
and we don't know when that money comes
for farming. It's coming. The VRA has also given 10 million Ghana cedis to provide relief items.
Government is facing trust deficit
for road. No, I don't think so. No,
when you say these things, when you throw these things out,
the Ministry of Roads and Highway.
To be fair to him,
is going to
this
fund
is something that
5
came
million.
up a few days ago.
I think
we should give
he
the
says
government
an agreement to the effect.
Yes,
he
doesn't have it. He doesn't have it. He doesn't know it all. He's just telling you what the government's intentions are. I think to be fair to Palgrave, we can give him a few more days to see how soon the money is going to hit the account. If it doesn't, we'll be back here.
The water in some of the communities now stagnant.
Yes.
And the stench alone.
Yes.
I sit here and just imagine what would happen in the next few days.
In the meantime, internally they're having some interventions. The external ones will come. He doesn't have full control over those ones. Will be our promise. So how are you going to put gun on the person? So I'm just saying that we can give the person some breathing space and let's see what happens in the next few days. Yes, Honorable Judge Low.
Well,
what do you want to
I think
come
that because of time, we may not belabor the point. And I think some of the questions I wanted to ask have been asked by Kojo Chumba. But let's be very frank with ourselves. You see, Patrick, we've been where you are before. It's not easy to defend government on certain things. Patrick, you see, if this calamity had subsided, the water had stopped, people are being resettled, and even possibly a new settlement had been built for the people. And President Akufo-Addo goes and is commissioning. And he says, you see how I love you? Even though the votes from this place are not too encouraging, I have put my self to tax to ensure that you are comfortable. This is the extent to which I love you. Then you would have been communicating. But you see, when people are reaping, children don't know where to sleep. Chiefs have lost their regalia.
Truncated.
Education is truncated. People do not have a place to. It is a no. And the president advisors must be ashamed of themselves.
But Honorable Judge Low, what do you want the president to do when there's been a lot of talk about Voltaireans don't like the NPP?
I am saying that
the president wasn't going to come there. He's in America. He won't mind them because he doesn't get votes from.
The good book says
he feels that's the right
the
good
book says there is a time for everything. There is a time to joke and a time to be serious.
No, but he feels
there's a time. Please, I am saying that. Commonsensically.
Yes.
That is why I said the president advisors must be ashamed of themselves. Nobody should take pride in the fact that you've gone to a funeral. Somebody has lost their child immediately, and then you go and say, "Oh, you see, I'm your neighbor, but because you don't greet me, if I wouldn't have come."
Or if I was going to follow your attitude, I wouldn't even be here because you don't even greet me.
You don't even greet me.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. For a president of a republic.
Yeah.
No. He said, no. And Paragraph, I beg you. You are a fine gentleman. Some of the things, parry them. There's a minister for information. Give him the.
Expect him to come and say what the president said is unfortunate.
In fact, he came to
but you don't expect the spokesperson of government to come and say
what
the president said
I am
is
saying
unfortunate.
that, you see, parry it. Okay. I always remember John Mahama. Remember there was a time when they said Rawlings had used his left hand to point at the Otunfo.
Yes.
When he came, did you see his response? You parry it.
Parrying it is a strategy.
Yes, but it's a strategy. It's a communication strategy. But if you come and you want to speak to everything the way it is, then the way people will begin to look at you would be different. Meanwhile, you are a dignified personality. So I beg you, I have some communication background, so I'm giving you free consultancy. Maybe when we close, I'll add more. but as we speak, you see, the reality on the ground. The reality on the ground. You see,
I appreciate
honorable. I want to come somewhere. We'll talk about this.
Hold on. No, honorable, just a minute. Yes. I appreciate the inputs, but it's important that we don't overly politicize the statements of President Nana Addo.
So we are saying that,
and it's important that we also don't misconstrue what he said, because there were more things that the President Nana Addo said. But there's a narrow down on the voting.
The president said that maybe it was bad timing, but there are more important things he also said there that we thought we should focus on. And life goes on. But you see, if you want us to accept that I didn't do anything wrong, or I didn't offend anybody's sensibilities, then you cannot. Then you cannot go there.
There are two different things you are saying.
What he's also saying is that
there are two different things you are saying.
Even if you have a problem with the president's speech,
yes.
The president, first of all, decided to make time to go and see them. Right?
He didn't have to decide.
No, I'm saying that the president...
He didn't have to decide. No, okay. Reason why Michael was talking about the fact that there was an acting president.
Yes.
Because you see, this kind of disaster, that's why I said it's a national security matter.
I understand.
The vice president was walking around with his wife addressing delegates.
He says he had other.
Yes, and those are the other important things. Talking to delegates to vote for him in the primaries.
No, you see.
So clearly, they didn't prioritize this issue.
That's not true.
It is.
It's not true. It's inaccurate for you to make that statement.
No.
It's very inaccurate for you to
No, it is accurate.
How nice would it have been?
No.
How nice would it have been?
It's inaccurate for you to state that government did not prioritize this.
Or to have put his campaign on hold and rush to the region because of what was
even
happening.
a free when the second
it is based on
former
advice
first
of
lady
national
died.
security.
Even when former first lady died, flag bearer aspirants had the presence of mind to say that we have lost our former first lady.
Yes.
I'm putting my campaign on hold
Right.
to be able to go and commiserate with President Kufuor, and then after then I can continue.
Okay.
So you see, when we are saying these things, we are putting them in proper context. That over and over and over again, unfortunately, our president's posturing is telling the people of Volta region, that's for you people. Because you don't vote for me, anything you do, I don't really prioritize it.
Okay.
When a chief said, oh, my school, please, minister, I'm giving you some time, please come and complete. What did he say? Say, I'll stay there and do it. After all, who are you?
You're
Can
saying
you
that
do it
it's
yourself?
consistent with this
It's
president?
consistent with it. The character is consistent, and we cannot run away from that. But let me go to more germane things. You see, the VRA, this year, they celebrated 60 years.
Okay.
If they were you and I working in public service, they would have been on retirement.
Retirement, absolutely.
For 60 years, VRA has had to spill water over time and things like that. They claim they did some simulation and things like that. How did they do it? Did they do it with the documentary, or they went beating gong gong and say, oh, Charlie, we will spill again, also move? It is not a serious attitude. I think that we've pampered the VRA too much when it comes to these things. And not only the VRA, a lot of state agencies. Look, you have a Ministry of Roads and traffic escalates every day. And there is nobody sitting at the back room deciding, like they do in other civilized societies, that, hey, Charlie, Adenta Road, for the past 6 weeks, Charlie, things are getting bad. How do we handle it? Yeah. How do we handle this one? We don't see that happen in this country. Traffic lights have been on for 2 years. And we are here. And then we'll go and somewhere and be singing praises of government. It cannot continue. It's no longer business as usual.
Right.
And I'm saying that for VRA, it's a major failure because we expect that the first time in 60 years that this calamity is happening, they showed a total helplessness. And these 10 million cities that they say they put in, my God, VRA, you know how much they make at the expense of the people for the dam? So clearly, the response is not, and I know that if government does not handle this thing well, and I'm serving notice, we've already started talking about class action.
Yeah.
That class action will happen only if government does not show commitment. Because I expect that by now a committee should be in place.
The president set up a committee.
No. That committee is different. I'm talking about committee where people will be compensated. We'll see how the whole system will be retooled.
How different is the committee?
No, this committee is a response committee.
What's the terms of reference?
That response, you see, so Paragraphs, you see, I'm saying that let's call a spade a spade. You and I are Ghanaians. This problem is a Ghanaian problem first and foremost. And that is why we thought that it was a wrong time for the president to have put in an iota of even politics in there. And I was telling somebody that I even was not happy with the regional minister. Well, if I were the regional minister, I would not interpret what the president said. I would not have interpreted what the president said, the way he said it. But well, hard luck. It's come and gone. But we must learn lessons from this and stay focused. And we must depoliticize it. When I was coming, people have already started talking about relief items being shared, NADMO discriminating and things like that. It's an unfortunate. I'm saying people have been called. It may be true.
How are they discriminating?
It's not true. How can they
you
discriminate?
See, as for our communities, everybody knows NDC and PP.
Oh, okay.
You understand?
Yes.
And in those areas, the acrimony is very well.
But once you have not verified, I don't think you should even put it out.
I'm saying that.
No, it's because of his source.
I know. That is what I'm saying. That let's depoliticize this if there is any.
There's no discrimination.
John Mahama sent about 1.5 million worth of goods to the area. And I believe that these things will just go to NADMO and those in charge to be freely distributed. So I commend our flag bearer. When the vice president,
you didn't comment.
It was too
Dr. Mahmoud Baumia. You didn't commend President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. You have not commended state agencies, but you are commending John Dramani Mahama.
They are the president and the vice president. We will not commend them for the job that they are supposed to do.
Okay.
John Mahama didn't have an obligation to contribute even a farthing.
All right.
But he has shown his love for the people.
Let me read.
So as for me, I will not commend the president. I will not commend the vice president. They are
the vice president
used
his personal funds for the donation, if you care to know.
What shows?
His personal funds, what shows?
What shows?
His personal funds, not state money. Look at that.
State money.
It cannot be.
You should come and show us that it is personal money.
You don't believe that the president,
the vice president used 160,000 Ghana cedis of his own money to give a donation. We want to commend it.
No, we will not.
Right. Let me read this. Let me read a few messages.
We will not.
We'll take a second break and I'll come to Michael. My understanding is that Alfred Kojo Thompson wants to chip in something quickly. We'll get him to speak to us in a few minutes. And then we'll come back in studio. But let me do this. This one says, please, my brothers, there's time for everything. Politicians do not understand the politics they are doing. The state should punish the VRA authorities. Case closed. Philip Sapia sends that message. This one here from Nixon Eshen, Tema East, MPP, says, Moro, the NDC sees everything wrong with what the president said, but are okay with what Honorable Dafiamakwa did to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia on Twitter after his personal donation to the affected people. Hypocrisy in the highest order. Let me also say this one says that, good morning to you all. The NDC should stop doing propaganda about what the president said. The president was responding to the comment and some statement made by some NDC MPs. There's nothing wrong with the president's statement. NDC should stop doing propaganda. This one here says that, good morning, my name is Obed from Spintex Bachona. There are speculations around that says my president has said something about the spillage in the Volta region, but in your video of my president, you did ended it, so we didn't hear exactly what he said. Please kindly play in full for the people of Ghanaian. Thanks. The crisis and then this one from Master Planner Doma Ahinkro. The crisis in the dam spillage jurisdiction is a humanitarian one, and no political party or politician should aim at political score point, but sympathize with the victims and help ameliorate the grief cost. Declaring a state of emergency is worth it to gather enough resources to help the situation. Government must not shy away from doing this. Master Planner Doma Ahinkro. Papa Bisu says that, hi, this havoc on our brothers and sisters by the spirit of AKOSOMBO Dam. I'm smelling some conspiracy here. Oh. The MPP must not be underestimated in wanting political power at all costs. Remember, dead bodies appearing in some corners of Ghana under JJ's regime just incur the displeasure of Ghanaians towards NDC government. How about the damage on the West African pipeline in the sea that created Dumso under JM? And for the first time in the history of Ghana, no representation for the people of Sal in parliament, which would have gone the way of NDC. Also check the 8 dead in Techiman. This havoc is just to reduce the vote of NDC by displaying and then turning them to beggars so that they can lure them to vote for the MPP, but we shall overcome. Papa Bisu sends that message. Hello, I'm Nicholas Hukaji from Tema. Good morning to everyone. Please, the president is a good leader, should be father for all. He must know that it is not the people of Volta region who voted for the NDC. Some Voltarians also voted for the MPP. Therefore, the president must be careful with the comments he makes when there's a disaster in the country. His comment is inappropriate. He should act as a good leader and not be arrogant. All right. Now, I'm told that Alfred Kojo Thompson. Alfred, if you can do this in a few minutes, I'm told you are on Zoom. There's something you want to chip in quickly. Alfred Kojo Thompson is also a member of the NDMPP's communication team. Alfred. Hello, Alfred. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you too. There's something I'm told you want to chip in something quickly. We don't have a lot of time.
I was listening to George Lowe on the president's speech, and that it wasn't appropriate for him to go there and say such a thing.
Right.
Now, first thing that you should know, the president went there to empathize and sympathize with the people for the flood that had happened. Prior to when the president got there, his people, especially Jifa Gumashi and Apak, had been telling the people over there, especially Jifa Gumashi, telling her people that the president hasn't got that love and sympathy for Voltarians when it comes to these things. And he has even expressed it in the Togbe's SHS thing that he himself spoke about. Now, which other platform has the president got but to respond to some of these things after his visit and after speaking to the people than where he was? Should he go to his office and call them to come and listen to him, or call the press to come and listen to him to respond to them, or he should go? Because this is once too many. This is not the first time she's doing that. This is not the first time NDC is taking advantage of the plight and pain of people to destroy the president and NPP. They always want to take vote advantage of whatever situation they get. So when he gets there and he's finished with what he came to do, and he has the chance to address the people and tell them that, listen, I come in here, it's not because maybe you vote for me or you don't vote for me. Because at the end of it all, the president gets votes from voter region. But he was addressing the issue that Jifa had told them, that the president hasn't got love and doesn't think about the people of water region.
But Alfred,
so he went further to say that
that's fine,
if
Alfred,
it's because of the votes.
Okay, Alfred,
Yeah?
we've had that explanation before. But I think the question that Ghanaians have been asking is that the right time to be addressing that issue? I mean, the president has
and that is what, when
a
I
million
started,
platforms to have responded. That's indeed what you're saying about Ablago Machine is true. Did he have to do it at that time?
That is why I asked you that which platform is better than where she went to do the thing there. Okay. When she went, she didn't go for the plight of the people. Right. She went to destroy MPP and the presidency. Okay. And that is why the president told them that, listen, I come here as a father of the nation. Okay. I don't come here because of political reasons. When something happens, I work as a father of the nation. And that was the best platform the president could have used.
He knows that.
I'm telling you the truth.
He's just trying to.
You see, he sat there and said he's a communication expert. I'm also a communication expert. And I can tell you that sometimes you have to chip in things at the place and where it happened. If he goes to his office right now and goes to sit there and calls the press that, come, I want to have a press conference and address what Jifa said, do you know what the people would have said? But you got the platform in the voter region where the thing happened. What did you do with it? You did nothing. So the president had to address it once and for all. But you see that when he addressed it, now it's hitting the NDC so much that they are saying that, oh, the president did not speak well.
I think.
All right. All right. Alfred, thank you very much for chipping in. We appreciate that. Thank you. And have a good day, sir.
Yeah, if I can just stay.
Yeah, please come in.
Look, you see, Alfred, my good friend Alfred, has come to mess the matter up.
You mean he's made it worse?
You see, let's assume, without admitting that Jifa Gomashi or Clement Apak had made some statement.
Okay.
Why? In this country, must the president respond to everything?
Everything. Okay.
And is that the president's posturing? That in a very crucial matter where he has to show his leadership skills, these are the kind of things he thinks about.
Oh, he says those comments
I am saying that
is damaging the image of the NPP.
Please, there is something we call maturity. That is why we send people to certain areas. When I go there, I don't care what the people are saying on the ground for that matter. You've gone to resolve a problem. You've got to give people hope. You don't respond. You see, John Mahama said something that always fascinates me. He said, when they send you to go and kill a lion, and on your way you see a rabbit, and you chase the rabbit, will you end up killing the lion? So clearly the president did not go there to kill a lion. So on his way, he's looking at rabbits and guinea fowls and things, and he's chasing them around.
Okay.
Clearly, the problem at hand did not demand this kind of response for His Excellency the President, the fountain of honor of the state of Ghana, and the commander-in-chief of armed forces. It is disgraceful. It's unacceptable. Okay. He must never do it again. This should be his last time.
This is Inside Pages on Metro Television. My name is Awudu Moro. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll look at what the way forward will be. There's been call for a declaration of, what's the name? State of emergency. That's what I was looking for. I'll pick the thoughts of my guest briefly on that before we leave you. We'll be back. This is Inside Pages on Metro Television. We're looking at the developments in the Volta region, Eastern region, and also the Savannah regions. We're talking about the spillage of excess water from the VRA and also the pond dams and the devastating effects it's had on the people. And my guests have been here sharing their perspective on the matter. Let me just, like as I did indicate from the beginning, in fact, as I did indicate before we went on that break, that there have been a call for a declaration of a state of emergency. So I want to find out from my resource persons whether they agree, whether there should be a declaration of a state of emergency. And so I'm going to start with Michael. Michael, do you think there should be a declaration of a state of emergency based on everything you've heard or seen or read?
Well, as we sit here, we are not clear whether indeed, in terms of hope for the communities affected and restoration of their livelihoods, and the issue has been, where is the center that is even coordinating all these?
Right.
Indeed, yes, relief items are trooping in, coming in, but where are they going? Who is coordinating that? And don't forget, a few weeks or months ago, we had COVID. And we all saw how government expended the COVID money and how Ghanaians had serious issues with that.
Yeah.
So there is already, even the international community, that the COVID money was not expended prudently by the government. And so there is some form of mistrust. And for which reason, for instance, Palgrave is unable to let us know whether the $40 million, for instance, or the others he mentioned, 10 million, 5 million, whatsoever, the deadlines for disbursement whatsoever. This may be mere, puffs. A state of emergency, to me, should be in order. You declare that area as a state of emergency. What does helps is it introduces some form of coordination in the entire space.
Okay.
There will be heavy attention, concentration within affected communities. All hands will be on deck. The international community will see this as, oh yes, it's really a major, because as we speak, the humanitarian crisis that would befall us in the coming weeks
will be unimaginable.
Unimaginable as we speak. Because you can't tell whether the spillage is under control or not, and it appears they are still spilling. They have no option. And so the immediate future ahead of us is still bleak. And why is it? Because the member of parliament for the North Tongue constituency first called for the state of emergency to be declared. And for that reason, why should we listen to him? And so, well, it's not necessary. But when you look at the objective test and the fact that we haven't shown any resolve, we haven't shown or given any hope to the communities affected, things are still in disarray.
Okay. Let me come to Honorable Judge.
It clearly needs coordination.
I get it. I get the point you're making.
And I support a declaration for the state of emergency.
All right.
Yeah,
you take the last bite, or you want to come before?
No, let him finish.
Okay, that's fine.
I mean, to the extent that we are not too sure when these things are going to stop, because Meteo is saying there may be more rains, and the VRA says if
the
there are
VRA says they can't even trust the Meteo anymore.
Well,
they said the Meteo deceived them.
So at the close of the day,
even the public institutions do not trust each other.
If Meteo says there may be more rains,
yes,
VRA by inference will say that once there are more rains out there, we would have to continue to spill.
Yeah.
So we don't have an end in sight.
We're not out
properly.
Of the
So yes. So to the extent that the problem can escalate,
okay,
I think that it will not be out of place at all
to declare state
of emergency in that area.
Right.
That also opens the way for more support, particularly internationally.
Precisely.
So I don't see why we have
a difficulty.
Yet we go for loans, we go do all these things, and then when it comes to the life of our people, we are. And then what hurts me is like we've done all over again.
Right.
When it was COVID, immediately it started. We said close the borders. They would not till it got here, and we couldn't hide them. Belatedly, we closed the borders.
Okay.
So there are so many things we have advised. Please. Take the advice. Okay. It may come from Okuja to Ablakwa, but
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
If it's good, it's good.
If it's good, it's good.
All right.
Okay. Please, tell your people.
Are you
need
picking,
advice?
Yeah.
Let's run on the.
Are you picking any information, any intel that perhaps is something that cabinet may be considering? I'm told there's actually a retreat.
Yes, 3 days retreat.
It's a cabinet retreat. It's ending today.
Oh, okay, sure.
Moro, this situation is not a situation that is not under control.
Right.
And so, from where I sit, I don't think that a state of emergency is in earnest of what government should consider. It is important for every well-meaning Ghanaian, as much as possible, because we do not want to politicize the issue of the spillage, to be restrained on exercising certain constitutional rights that is mandated by the president to issue, especially Article 31, to call for a state of emergency. The spillage of the AKOSOMBO Dam and the impact of that on surrounding communities is under control. The persons that have been affected, state agencies, NADMO has put these persons into evacuation centers. So far, close to about 12,000 persons have been evacuated.
Okay.
The remaining 14,000 persons are living with friends and families within the community.
Right.
Relief items are being sent to them on a daily basis.
Right.
This is not a situation that is not under control.
Okay.
The VRA has also given us indication that the spillage is gradually almost at the tail end. And so this is not a situation that is not under control. As far as government is concerned, as far as the state apparatus are concerned, this is a situation that is under control.
All right.
And so everyone that is calling for a state of emergency should be restrained from activating that constitutional mandate.
Okay.
We are not there yet.
All
and
right.
I'm not certain that we will get there under the issues that we are overseeing.
All right.
And I'm certain that persons that have been impacted over this period, relief items, support, the committee that President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo set up is going to be looking into it. And I'm sure whatever compensations that there are that government must give, government will do their side of the bargain to make sure that everyone is well and comfortable.
Alhaji Hamza from Pig Farm said, good morning, my brother. Let's call a spade and stop beating around the bush. What the people of Volta region needs is medications, food, water, and not the arrogant posture has been displayed by the president. The comments of the president was irresponsible and an insult to the intelligence of the people of the Volta region. I think that the president must apologize to the good people of Volta region. It is clear someone somewhere slept on their job, and they must not be allowed to go scot-free. Heads must roll. This is just an act of negligence on the part of the VRA. We are told the World Bank has released $40 million to farmers in the area, but my problem is how this money is going to be disbursed, because I don't trust the MPP government when it comes to accountability. We've seen it before, how COVID monies were gifted to party functionaries to campaign. Loads of message, I can't read it. My name is Aldemoro. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye. This is Inside Pages.